One of the most iconic cars of the 1960s, a masterpiece of design and engineering, changing the supercar market forever and putting Lamborghini firmly on the map. The Miura P400 is a hero you wouldn't want to meet. Ferruccio Lamborghini came from a farming family in rural Italy. After the Second World War, he took the mechanical skills he learned from working on his father's tractor in the decades prior, and began to build his own tractors for local farmers. The Lamborghini name was for the first time attached to an automobile. The tractor business was a great success, expanding into a greatly successful business that garnered his tractors a reputation as the best in Italy. This successful business made Lamborghini rather wealthy, and his personal wealth only continued to expand as his other business ventures took off similarly to Lamborghini tractors. Unsurprisingly, given Lamborghini's automotive inclinations, he had a love of fast cars, gathering a collection of supercars by the early 1960s that, crucially, included a Ferrari. The origins of Lamborghini as the automobile manufacturer we know today are shrouded in myth and legend. The story goes that Lamborghini's Ferrari had an issue with its clutch, and unimpressed by this, Lamborghini supposedly tried to make contact with Enzo Ferrari himself, who declined a meeting with Lamborghini for reasons unknown. The clutch used in his Ferrari was, by chance, no different to the clutches Lamborghini used in his tractors, and he had it repaired at his own factory. Even if this story is just myth, the end result is what really matters. Seeing that Lamborghini's companies were effectively taking care of themselves, he decided to found yet another company. This was to be the inception of a more recognisable Lamborghini brand, dedicated to creating the best grand touring cars of the day, and crucially, creating something better than Ferrari. Ferruccio Lamborghini was not interested in creating track cars for the road, and had no interest in creating track-capable cars at all. His vision was of the very best V12 GT car. This resulted in the creation of the Lamborghini 350 series, which were produced and improved upon from 1963 to 1965. Following the 350 GTS, the final iteration of the 350 series, things moved quickly for Lamborghini. The 400 GT was produced in 1966, and within the same year, Lamborghini would develop something to truly prove his point.
Tu vuoi fa l'americano, americano, americano, senta a me chi t'o fa fa. Tu vuoi vivere alla moda, ma se bevi whisky and soda, poi ti senti disturbato.
The Miura was created to be disruptive. It was innovative, and concept designs for the car included features that weren't seen on a production vehicle again for decades to come. But this was not the brainchild of Ferruccio himself, rather his design team, who were using their own time to create this concept and were worried that Ferruccio would in fact reject the design as a distraction from the company's direction. Their worries were not without reason. The company had a very clear goal. Lamborghini's vision was of comfortable GT cars, not competitive sports cars, and the car his design team came up with was, on paper, a grey area. The engine, a 3.9-litre V12 from the 400 GT, was mounted transversely to save space, an idea they borrowed from Alec Issigonis' very successful Morris Mini. But more interesting than this was the engine's location. Unlike other performance cars of the time, the engine was mid-mounted behind the cockpit for better weight distribution. The team theorised that if they could strike a middle ground between performance and comfort, they may open the company up to potential Ferrari customers. It worked. Lamborghini approved the design, and before a body had even been sketched for the car, orders were in and the car was selling. Bertoni was quickly hired to design a body for the innovative little sports car, and for many, the car's memorability is as a result of the beautiful design they came up with. Widely regarded as one of the best looking cars of all time, those who had already placed orders for the P400 were certainly not disappointed with the bodywork their car came with. The car was in production before the end of 1966.
Guarda che luna, guarda che mare, da questa notte senza te dovrò restare.
For a car to progress from a concept pet project to a production vehicle within 12 months should worry anybody. Lamborghini had an, albeit short, history of creating vehicles and selling them while they were still really in development. Their first sports car saw 4 iterations in its short 2-year production life, and the Miura was no different. This was potentially a problem for Lamborghini, as they had a new market now. Lamborghini was very popular at the time amongst the rich and famous, and really solidified Lamborghini as a major player in the world of exotic car production. But to describe the Miura P400 as a driver's car would be a lie. Driving the P400 at high speeds was nothing short of suicidal. With the engine taking up the majority of the space behind the cabin, the designers mounted the fuel tank over the front wheels. From a design and space-saving point of view, this made perfect sense, but it doesn't take an engineer to see some obvious problems with this. Of course, the natural reaction is to question the car's crash safety. However, fuel tank combustion on impact was not actually the Miura's problem. The Miura's problem was evident even when driven well. As the car approached higher speeds, the aerodynamics of the Bertone-designed body left the front of the car with little wind-aided downforce. This would not be an issue in a car with a front-mounted engine, but the Miura's was in the middle. The weight over the front wheels in a Miura was the fuel tank, an area of the car with variable weight. As the fuel was consumed, steering in the original Miura P400 would become less and less responsive at speed, fast becoming undrivable at speeds even below 100 miles per hour. This, however, was not all that was wrong with the P400. The car's carburetors were not entirely safe for use, to put it lightly. To summarise for those who may not know, a carburetor is responsible for mixing the air and fuel for combustion. In the Miura, these carburetors had a habit of spitting fuel. Liquid petrol contacting the hot engine block is not an ideal situation, and a number of Miuras burned to the ground as a result of the fault, and on occasion continue to do so to this day. Luckily for the Miura, and Lamborghini as a company, these faults were overlooked, or simply not known or understood by the majority of its owners, allowing the car to continue driving with a fairly unscathed record, despite having serious design and mechanical flaws. 250 Lamborghini Miura P400s were built between 1966 and 1969, when the sales of the Miura were transferred exclusively to the improved P400S. As innovative and influential the Lamborghini Miura P400 was, it is certainly not a car that most would enjoy driving. In true Lamborghini style, a practice that has stuck with the company, the later versions of the car fixed most of its major faults, and the P400 was quickly outnumbered by P400Ss in the early 1970s. But the P400 will always be the original. A car you could argue was the first modern supercar, the Lamborghini Miura P400 is a car you wouldn't want to drive.